Welcome to the Reverie Esports Cup number 3, qualifier number 4. It's our last qualifier of the month for this Rift Cup tomorrow, so don't miss that. And we are ready for some League of Legends.
I am also ready. Hello, Effect. How you doing, buddy? Been a little while.
It has been a bit, Octavian. Welcome back.
Good to be here, and apologies for my absence last weekend. I wasn't feeling up to snuff, but believe me, I am more than up to snuff today. I am above snuff. And these two teams have already been through the draft once. We weren't able to catch it, and they were gracious enough to drop out and redo the draft for us. So these bans are just going to be kind of random bans as they go through the picks, which they had already done earlier.
Excellent. So we'll get to see at least get to see the picks. It's unfortunately we can't speculate on the bans, but we're not going to miss the match, and that's the important thing.
That is the most important thing, yeah. Bard going to be locked in for King of Uganda, though I'm assuming that's going to Pazu, provided they're in LCS order, which perhaps they're not, as they've already got something of a great team fighting and initiation comp here between Talia, Bard, and Galio. I like it already. Olaf, Twitch, and Braum does bode pretty well for the damage going on the other side here, as Braum Twitch is also a very solid lane. Twitch has been seeing a lot of play lately.
Absolutely. And Braum making something of a comeback, not as much as, maybe comeback might be too strong of a word, but I've been seeing him more and more frequently.
Yeah, what's been making a comeback isn't specifically Braum, but rather playmaking melee supports, as things like Karma and Lulu and those sorts of very harassing range supports start to fall out of favor. You're going to see more Threshes and Braums and maybe even Leonas and Blitzcranks if we go far enough in that direction, which is exciting for sure. Speaking of exciting, it's the new, well, sort of new Rek'Sai with the slightly different ultimate and a Lucian locked in beside the Bard, as Vladimir and Shen will fill out the composition for Here We Win, which I believe is the team on the red side, though I may have the colors backwards.
Let me take a quick look. It is Here We Win on the blue side, and it is going to be Nautilus. How do I pronounce this? Shippuden. I don't know if I'm pronouncing. Somebody correct me if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. And
I'd have to see it myself to be able to read it off. It sounds like some sort of reference that I simply don't get. But yes, Nautilus Shippuden versus Here We Win, and there's the full draft for you folks. I would say that Here We Win have drafted, in my opinion, a slightly more cohesive composition, but that's not to say that the opposition doesn't have a good team of their own. They've got some pretty powerful picks. It just seems like they may have picked for power rather than for comp, but they've still ended up with a damn good team fight, that's for sure. Between Braum, Vladimir, and Twitch alone, that's enough.
Absolutely. It looks like Nautilus is wanting to basically just dive into the enemy team as much as they can, because they have Twitch is their only range, and it feels like he'll just sit back, pop his ultimate, and then just start mowing people. And that's the gist I'm getting.
You've got the Shen delivery with Olaf diving to the back lines unstoppably. Though, to be fair, there is a Talia on the enemy team, and that's one of the few things in the game that can actually stop an ulting Olaf. Yep. So we'll see whether or not that comes into play. We do have to wait through the spectator delay, though, before we can see any of this action unfold.
Absolutely. So we'll be right back, folks. Do not go anywhere.
didn't think we could fall in love. Broken from the start, chained to our past.
Send him in. Sorry about that, folks. Let's just make sure we're synced. I'm at 3, 37, 38, 39, 40.
And we are on the same page here. All right. Haido and Bowman duking it out in the mid lane after what was just a first blood trade in the mid lane. As Haido's going to go down to Bowman for his second kill of the game.
Sorry about that, folks. Some technical difficulties caused by forcefully restarting the game and whatnot.
Yeah, the lobby was not being kind to us, and we had to mess around with it, but we got it to cooperate, and now we've got Effect and myself both here in the match, and let's get down into it. It is Here We Win versus Nautilus Shippuden.
I believe that is correct, yes.
And it's going to be Here We Win on the blue side, Nautilus Shippuden on the red, and Here We Win already with a pretty significant lead, actually. Not only those 2 kills on the Talia, but also a solid CS lead in the bottom lane, as Pazu and King of Uganda have done a great job of bullying back the Twitch Brom lane.
Absolutely. Estrius having a very difficult time getting poked out hard by Pazu there.
And this is going to be a lot of farm that he potentially misses if he doesn't play this farming under the tower correctly, all while still under threat of harassment from the Bard and Lucian, as he's going to be now permanently about 10 CS back. As there's the engagement in the top lane, KLTL does land the double taunt as he shadow dashes away, and he makes it to the safety of his turret. Fairy Seeker won't be enough to finish off the low health Shen.
Hold on, my directed camera is being weird. There it goes. It was stuck in.
Astrius again, eating another Q. This guy, he's going to have to back away, losing another few minions to the turret. This bot lane is brutal.
Ooh, Ambition taking a decent chunk of damage.
Yeah, Ambition tossed back, like... There's the top lane gank, this time from Haido, looking to finish off Thendies, pardon me, as the flash of the wall will be the kill for KLTL, getting a bit of revenge for that earlier gank attempt from Juicy.
Absolutely. Thendies kind of choosing an awkward spot to back and kind of paid for that.
Good sidestep from Ambition, but he's still going to be taking a few splinters of rock in the back, as Juicy will look to try and hunt him further into the jungle, just forcing him to blast coming back.
Absolutely. Ambition is also having a very difficult time. He's getting constantly poked here. And he may want to rush that Spear Visage.
Yeah, Bowman seems quite competent on this Talia, playing a very, very bullish early laning phase. And just constantly shoving the lane in, something that Ambition is not really able to deal with. As King of Uganda now coming in from the river is going to be landing some damage onto Kevin, nicely sidestepping not only the Venomous Cask, but also the Q from Braum.
Absolutely.
Which I should remember the name of, and I do not.
Winter's Bite, I believe.
feel bad.
I remember.
Winter's Bite, there you go. You got my back. One more auto away from a stun onto Uganda, but Kevin gets bullied away. We've got potential action in the mid lane as well, but Olaf is there to answer it.
Absolutely, and you see Juicy kind of bullying Haito out of his own jungle, stealing some camps.
Here we win. We're already having quite a decent game of it, with victories across the board. Aside from that one kill that did go over to KLTL Shen, they've got leads pretty much everywhere, and even in that lane, the Galio versus Shen lane, Galio has a 10 or more CS lead, so that's going to almost even up for the kill goal.
Absolutely.
As Pullman and Juicy are invading now and onto the blue buff. Kevin going to be playing the front line for his team as the flash forward from Uganda. The stun does land, but Astraeus managed to flash right before it bound to the wall. Haido now looking to defend his buff is going to be trying to land a stun here on Lucian, who has to flash over the wall. There it is, the buff taken by Haido, but we'll see whether or not he pays for that with his life. The Shen ulti coming from the top lane, stand united. All the shields in the world are not going to be enough to save that Olaf. Pazu melts away to the Twitch passive, plus a little bit of help from a vampire in the corner, but Ambition will pay dearly for that kill as he goes down for a double direct side.
Absolutely, and that was an interesting... They really wanted that blue buff. Both teams actually really wanted
in the end, they got it.
Both teams
Juicy
wanted
has it, transferred.
And Pazu kind of came in at an awkward angle. It was flash to flash back, actually, and then still ended up dying to Ambition's ultimate.
Quite surprised they didn't go for that dragon. They had 4 members there, but I guess Thendies is prioritizing this wave and a half worth of farm, doesn't want to wait around on the bottom side of the map. And I can understand that. Shen never actually joined the fight. Stand United was... Well, the target he was trying to stand united with was murdered before he could get there, so he didn't end up actually showing up in the fight, so he was able to shove up another wave into the turret. At least pulling the Galio's teleport, but that's a small price to pay for getting another kill onto the Talia and 2 onto the Rex side.
Absolutely. He did manage to even the CS up, but if he's not careful, he can lose that lead. Or lose the advantage that he negated. And there's still a lot of assists.
To be fair, an advantage in this top lane is not going to matter too terribly much moving forward, as it's Galio versus Shen, and so it's just going to be a battle of tanks. And in the end, both of these players are just going to be very tanky in the end game. Oh, Astrius just got on the edge of that Bard ulti, is going to get melted. Juicy's on a killing spree, ulting forward onto Keevan, leaping on in and finishing him off, actually, the kill goes to Lucian. As there's the tanks fighting it out in the top lane.
Absolutely. That was a beautiful.
There's the third tank joining. Here comes Hido. He's got a red buff, and this is very likely a dead Galio. As action on the opposite side of the map from the enemy jungle pays off for the Olaf.
Absolutely. Just didn't have anywhere to go, and unfortunately, he doesn't have much in the way of vision in the river, so it was easy for Hido just to walk up.
Yeah, certainly a greater victory for Here We Win, though, as they managed not only to get first turret, but also Whiteley and Mountain Drake, which will just make future turret takes all that much more easy.
Absolutely, and there's just no contest here. There's only Keevan nearby, but there's not much he could possibly do to contest it.
This is the dragon that I anticipated them taking earlier after their successful bottom lane skirmish, but it's the second successful bottom lane skirmish that leads to it instead.
Absolutely.
Bowman now continuing the shove in the mid lane. Ambition having really, really rough lane of it. This has been some very solid Taliyah play.
He's working on the Proto Belt, and that will make his mobility a little bit easier, but he's still going to be bullied around a little bit.
Yeah, Ambition can always come back into this game with a really solid team fight. That's kind of always a option for Vladimir, even if he is quite far behind, but I don't know if they're really going to be able to find that. To be fair, they've got a composition that leans into that, but Hido without a blast cone to get over the wall could end up going down here. Does Ragnarok out of the first bit of CC, but there's plenty of damage yet to throw his way.
Absolutely. It was a full-on collapse by Here We Win. Hido didn't.
Oh, that stun was beautiful, cosmically binding through the cannon minion. King of Uganda realizing his genius, flashes the mastery, well-deserved mastery flash for sure. And now they're going to be shutting it onto the top lane turret. Oh, the Bard ulti, the Tempered Fate, locking up KLTL under the turret. Or rather, removing the turret.
Actually,
and removing any semblance of safety he had.
Absolutely. It actually worked out really well, because the turret couldn't hit them, but they could still hit him. So
yeah, no, I mean, even if it had hit the Shen, then he just would have been held up there. I mean, they could have dove that even with the turret being there and able to shoot. And now they're going to go ahead and get the Rift Herald. It's just been smooth objective take after objective take this game for Here We Win.
Absolutely. Ambition once again getting...
Oh, man.
Might have to pull here. Nope, managed to block away.
Once... Taliyah is one of those mages who has a utility ulti like Twisted Fate or Bard, I guess. There's not very many of them in the game, I kind of have to reach. But like Twisted Fate, his dueling in the 1v1, or her dueling in the 1v1, isn't quite as good, because only 3 out of 4 abilities do damage, unlike most mages. But, of course, you trade off for that by having really, really solid roaming. In that instance, if that had been almost any other mage beside Taliyah, Ambition was dead. Or if Bowman had taken Ignite, maybe Ambition was dead. But still, a lot of value gained out of that trade nonetheless, as Rift Herald will be summoned in the mid lane, and this will be an outer turret going down.
Absolutely. Hido is going to get that ward, so there is going to be no vision there. But with the Rift Herald, they're most easily going to take this mid turret.
Mm-hmm. And Bard will get stunned up through the wave, Rift Herald charging backwards, and Keevan just has to leap on out of there.
Absolutely. Keevan taking
this has been this has been, I think, most rough on the bot lane, as that's Shen ult and heal burn to keep that Vladimir alive. King of Uganda, though, summons a Galio to his assistance as Thundis leaps over the wall. Juicy looking for a further engage as the Cosmic Binding does not land. Thundis will happily tank a few turret shots on the way out. Hido going to get knocked up. There's the taunt pulling him back in. He did not have Ragnarok to escape that one.
Looks like
KLTL has to dash away. Hazu's still going over the wall. They are chasing this. A flash forward from the Lucian. The wall from Braum will eat the majority of the culling, but he goes down and is not there to protect the Shen in death. And they're going to be shoving in onto an inhibitor turret at 13 minutes.
grabbed control of the game really early, and they never let go. There's a few reckless
Yeah,
plays
this
here and
is
there,
really-
but it all paid off in dividends.
Like, there was one fight, maybe, where it went kind of evenly, and that's why we see these 2 kills in the Vladimir and a kill or 2 in the top laner. But other than that, there just has not been even a glimmer of hope for Nautilus Shippuden, and they needed a little more than a glimmer to come back from the deficit that they're in.
There would need to be an outside source to interfere in this game for a victory, I would think.
I'd like to particularly give props to King of Uganda. The guy has been playing some really, really solid Bard. Skill shots have been landing left and right. He's been all over the map, too. And you can tell because he's got a perfect support scoreline. 0, 0, and 10.
That's a beautiful thing for a support.
Yes, indeed. And, I mean, only 2 assists or kills away from having 100% kill participation. That's pretty damn good.
Absolutely. And Pullman going to continue to bully Haito a bit, steal all of his Raptors.
Yeah. When in League of Legends, when ahead, get further ahead. That is the creed of the game. And so don't give anything, however small, to the enemy team if you can take it yourself. So a Raptor camp here, a vision control there, all of it matters. Oh my god, dealing with super minions at 14 minutes is not easy.
Yeah, it's gotta be irritating, is a word. And with that, we're seeing a, looks like a 4-0, actually no, Juicy's kind of hanging out in the mid there.
As I said, don't give up even the smallest advantage. You can see the vision control is pretty perfectly laid to push in onto this turret. And we'll see whether or not they go for a dive or if they're just content with chipping away at the bricks. Oh, no, there's a taunt onto the Talia. Bowman flashing away from the CC chain. Haito coming from the side though. Ragnarok started. There's a undertail onto Bowman. The Ignite is burning from the support, and it's a shutdown going to Olaf. A good start to this fight, but it's costed dearly, rather, as Pazu with a rampage claims the life of Vladimir, and Twitch falls as well. Haito, now cut off from anything resembling safety, is going to do his best to distract the enemy team, I suppose. But that's really all he can accomplish here.
Absolutely, and with Pasu still pushing, Here We Win is going to still get a lot of damage on these turrets, and Juicy is joining him actually too, so...
He's going to turn around, try and buy some time, maybe get a kill onto the Bard, but no, Uganda is there with the stun, and Thendis actually misses the Winds of War. Haito is still alive. A bit of true damage. There's the passive from Thendis. The Winds of War lands that time, though. Meanwhile, though, an inhibitor turret falling means that even with the time that Hydos was able to buy, it doesn't really matter. 16 minutes in, 1 inhibitor down, another one there.
Absolutely, and we have another Mountain Drake on the map, most likely going to be taken by Here We Win with Node. Minimal contest, most likely.
Yeah, if they even choose to devote any attention down there, they're above such things. It's a petty, minor objective. They could push for an inhibitor. If Baron were alive, they could probably go for it. The only thing preventing them from taking a Baron is the fact that it's not even on the map yet.
You can't take Baron if it isn't alive.
Well observed. This is why they pay attack the big bucks.
Absolutely. And...
Master analysis.
And Bullman continuing to hang out on that top side, gonna be ready to take that inhibitor if they ignore it, but it looks like KLTL is gonna stay near it.
In addition to that, stealing away like every jungle camp that he can possibly find, making sure that any tiny little advantage is denied. Astrius kiting away does manage to avoid the cosmic binding, but he finds some damage from Thendis. It pulls the Shen ulti. And the stun on the Shen who's standing still. I'm not quite as impressed with that one as I've been with some others, but still good.
Absolutely.
See if Pazu can kite back Haito. I mean, usually when the Olaf finds the enemy AD carry alone, that's a good thing, but Pazu did hold in the wrong direction, but it doesn't matter! Pazu can completely whip his ulti, and it doesn't matter! And Bullman's hitting an inhibitor, like...
Here's KLTL to try and stop him, but there is a huge minion wave
Try
here.
is the operative word.
Yes, try. I don't think even if he lands a Shadow Dasher that would matter.
Yeah, the inhibitor going to be going down. The GG is going out in chat already. And KL's life seems to be forfeit. Juicy burrowing 4 is going to be landing the unburrow soon. And this is just a matter of time till the Shen dies. Nothing really too exciting to cast about that. One Nexus turret falling. A 3-man unit shoves in to take the next. Make that a 5-man unit. Rexa and Talia are back from their Chen hunting. Oh, that Talia wall cuts them off from their own base. Nothing belongs to them anymore, not even their own fountain. They're not allowed anywhere on this map without Here We Win say so.
And Here We Win
18
with the...
minutes, 40 seconds.
Absolutely. Here We Win with the absolutely overwhelming victory. Even with 5 deaths, those deaths every single time somebody died, there's a price to pay. Except for the one time in top lane.
Well, that was, I don't know, there's a lot of different words, some of them not so kind to describe that game, but I think a stomp is the most appropriate one. That was pretty much the definition of one. And yeah, they'll definitely be going on to the
semifinals.
Finals, right?
Semifinals. We're in the
I forget my
quarterfinals
place
currently.
in the bracket.
We'll have to see if we can jump into another match. Though most of them have probably started, if I had to guess.
I'd imagine so. But give us just a few minutes, folks. We'll hopefully be getting into the next semis if we can. If we can't, then we'll be rejoining you at the finals. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a little bit.
Here one minute, gone the next. There's no heart beating inside your chest. It's vanished into thin air, never to be seen again. truth is so hard to find. With all the things that's going on, I lost track, I felt so strong. I got you on my mind, but something's been done wrong. Sometimes I've been thinking of what to make of me and my memories. Sometimes I've been thinking of what it could have been besides memories. 'Cause I still need you.
And we're back. Sorry about the wait, folks, but we are into the next match, the semifinals between Team 7 and Here We Win.
And Team 7 is going to be on the blue side. Here we win on the red side. I will be doing play-by-play casting. And alongside me on the color casting portion of the desk is going to be effects as always.
Absolutely.
And this is a fun match that we're in for, I'm pretty sure. Here we win. Definitely showed their chops last game. Particularly King of Uganda's Bard was impressive, but it's hard to pick out an impressive point in a game that lasted 18 minutes and 40 seconds. I'd say the whole team operated pretty dang well together. Team 7, though, is a returning team here at Reverie Esports who have done well in the past, and so this will be potentially a bit more of a test for Here We Win.
Absolutely. I'm very curious to see how well these two teams match up against each other, because we've seen a lot of Team 7, and they've always done very well for themselves. But it'll be interesting to see if the powerhouse of Here We Win can go up against them.
And so far, it's just kind of been some meta bans, as Rek'Sai has clawed her way back into the meta with her recent changes. Zac, Twitch, and Thresh are all pretty powerful champions as well, and Orianna, a staple of the mid lane. So I don't think any of these are targeted at any particular players, as we get the last ban before our picks begin, sometime in the next 15 seconds.
Really going to be curious to see if it remains in this theme of just meta bans, or if they start targeting now. Because there's still several bans open, of course, but we have to wait for the first set of picks. And it's going to be
And
Fiora.
it'll be a meta top laner who's taken out. Yeah. I think a priority right now is possibly to grab something really strong in the mid lane. Bullman's Talia was a just wrecking ball last game with a 40 CS lead and 4 kills up over his opponent. But Caitlyn will actually be the priority here, as that just makes some sense. Twitch being the other sort of T180 carry at the moment, Caitlyn gets grabbed to deny that.
Absolutely. And it'll be interesting to see if Posse makes a return to the Lucian. And
yeah, he was comfortable in that. Does decently well into Caitlyn.
Absolutely. It was very
not amazingly.
Combined with King of Uganda, he was doing very well, just pounding their the bot lane of oh no, I've forgotten their name. I'm so sorry.
Nautilus Shippuden.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it was unusual last part.
The only time you'd want to pick Lucian into Caitlyn is if you're playing a highly aggressive lane, which they did last time with Uganda on this Bard, so perhaps that is in their playbook, but we'll have to see. As Thendis goes back to the Galio, and so far nothing has changed from the last game we saw these guys in. Here we win, picking some pretty powerful standard picks so far. Sejuani is cool. Ooh, I like the new Sejuani. And a Jarvan top lane.
Oh my. That could be what they need to slap Thendis around a bit, because Jarvan has been making a very large comeback, actually. I've been seeing it being talked about in Reddit.
Yeah, and he does pretty well into Galio, actually. He's got the damage that he needs to actually bring down Galio in the early game with the armor shred off of his Dragon Lance. So able to do some decent damage, able to perhaps set up a gank with Sejuani. There's a lot of CC between that duo, J4 and Sedge. And even later in the game, there's going to be a lot of CC just between those two. There's some powerful team fight pick there. It will be the Lucian Bard lane, though, as Here We Win continue to draft just as they did in the quarters. And we'll see what their next bans are.
Absolutely. This will actually be the first time I've seen the new Sejuani in a tournament here. Because it's always either been not picked or banned.
Syndra ban is pretty unsurprising. I actually expect to see some mid lane bans since neither team has picked a mid laner here. It's honestly not a bad strategy for either side to try and squeeze that mid champion pool a bit and get a good counter pick for themselves out of it.
Absolutely, and they're going to go ahead and take another jungler out of the pool. That's two very high damage aggressive junglers out of the way. And of course there's the Zac also out of the way. It'd be interesting to see what they... I think I agree with you that a good idea is to squeeze mid lane here. Because they already have Syndra, Orianna out of the way. And they could easily fit in another mid-range mage. And it's not going to be, it's actually going to be a Lulu.
Yeah, taking away the Lulu from the Caitlyn lane means that it's not as possible for it to be just stupid oppressive. A Lulu Caitlyn lane, there's very little you can do to actually aggress onto that as Bard Lucian. And you're going to be outranged in both the support and AD carry role, and you're just going to end up getting harassed backwards the whole game if the enemy duo is at all competent. So banning the Lulu does make sense. Ivern continues to squeeze the jungle champion pool for Juicy, and we'll see how they react to that. Elise is probably the jungler that's topping the list right now that hasn't been picked or banned.
That does make sense, and I'm very curious to see what they pick for Bullman's mid lane. Talia is open, so they might just go back to that.
I mean, it fits with the comp. Again, they did very well with it last time around, but he does not have any time left to pick. Oh, Garen gets locked in. I imagine that's a proxy pick for something else.
Most likely, that would make sense to me. We don't see a whole ton of... Yep, there it is.
Yeah, they timed down the clock to 0 seconds and then locked in a Garen. I imagine it's either a proxy pick or just a panic pick so that they didn't crash out of the draft. But we will know in just a few moments, folks. Give us just a second to get reoriented with the teams and get everybody back into the lobby. Might have just been a player crashing.
Could be. We'll be right back, folks.
will wait for you, and I'll do anything that you want me to. Just let me into your heart. Let me into your heart. Just let me into your heart. Let me into your heart.
Alright, and we're back. Sorry about that, folks. I actually had my mic muted, so that's why no one could hear me.
That's usually the effect of it, yeah. It seems like the Garen was an accidental pick. Something went wrong with the client or something along those lines. So we're back through the majority of the draft up until that point. The last final bans were, I believe, Syndra and Ivern, and then we'll see what the actual pick was for the side of Here We Win.
Absolutely. And they do need a mid lane and a jungle. Though I guess technically Galio could go mid lane, but I think it's unlikely since Thendy's had a fairly decent performance.
Warwick.
It is going to be Warwick. Okay.
All right, that's some pretty hefty engage they've got there. I like Warwick alongside Galio. It gives him something of a dive buddy, a secondary follow-up engage with Hero's Entrance, pardon me. And the main downside, I would say, is that Warwick's early pressure is not going to match up to Sejuani's, who's going to be able to get some really mean ganks around level 3, 4, 5, before 6, basically. And even after 6, I think Sejuani's ganking potential is better than Warwick's, even though his does spike up pretty significantly.
Absolutely. And, excuse me, Nixie is going to lock in the Cassiopeia for Sniper Chicken, I'm assuming. And now we need a support. So Karma, most likely?
Yeah. Karma does make the most sense alongside Caitlyn, but she's kind of fallen out of favor. However, it'll still be locked
Absolutely.
in. There we go. As Caitlyn Karma is sort of the diet version of Caitlyn Lulu as far as really long-range, harassy, annoying lanes go.
Annoying lane light.
And yeah, not very much light though, as Karma still does bring quite a lot of damage to the table. Honestly, more damage to the table than Lulu. It's just a bit easier to engage onto a Karma because there's a lack of wild growth or whimsy, that sort of thing. LeBlanc in the mid lane for Bullman into the Cassiopeia. That is really interesting. I actually wouldn't say that that's a good matchup for LeBlanc necessarily, as Cassiopeia's level 2 is nasty and LeBlanc doesn't really match up to that. Also, past level 6, Cassiopeia can easily land her ult on LeBlanc if LeBlanc ever dashes in, because you're not able to change the direction you're facing while you're distorting, and you're still like it's not like Fizz's E. You don't go untargetable. You can be hit while you're mid dash, and so a good Cassiopeia with decent reactions is going to land the Petrifying Gaze on you.
Absolutely. And LeBlanc play is very generally pretty predictable. He's going to dash in to do a ton of damage and then distort back out. But if Sniper Chicken's looking for that, he could easily land a very good stun and just melt Bullman before he can respond.
Yeah. Very possibly. It is a difficult lane to gank in the early game, though, and that may be part of the reason why LeBlanc was picked here in response as much to the Sejuani as the Cassiopeia. But one way or another, we've got a spectator delay to get through. Yeah, I'm excited for this game. A very similar draft to last time from Here We Win, with just a few changes in the mid and jungle, and a highly volatile, incredibly high damage composition with this 2 carry comp from Team 7.
Absolutely. So on that note, we're going to be entering our spectator delay. We got a little commercial break for you guys, unfortunately. But we'll be back as soon as we're in the game, so do not go anywhere. And we're back for this semi-final match between Team 7 and Here We Win. We're ready for some League of Legends.
I certainly am. How you doing today, Effect? You good?
So far, so good.
You having a good day? That's good. Had a few more technical difficulties than I'd like, but what's a Reverie broadcast without half a dozen of those? And yeah, let's get in onto the riff. My name is Octavian. I'm joined by the illustrious, indubitable, infallible Effects. And we've got a 5-man stack from the side of Here We Win. This
Oh my, Here We Win looking to be really aggressive with the pusher. They do have the Bard. That means they could possibly get a pick.
We'll see whether or not he leads with the attempted stun. There's the flash forward. A flash in response from Jack Knight. And I think that'll be just about all she wrote.
Jazz Knight with excellent reaction times, predicted the flash on his own, it looked like, and was able to get out on his own. And it's worth noting that he didn't flash forward, he flashed up and left.
Yeah, away from the wall, so Cosmic Binding, even if it landed, would only be a slow and not a stun. The correct way to play around the Bard, if you are going to be flashing away. And with that, I imagine we see quiet until the start of the laning phase. Speaking of the laning phase, we've got some pretty interesting lanes to keep an eye on. I personally am going to be watching mid for that level 2 potential spike from Sniper Chicken. It's always something you want to keep in mind when there's a Cassiopeia in the game.
Absolutely, and it's worth noting that Bowman has not taken Ignite or Exhaust or Heal or Bury. He's taken the Teleport, so he's looking for roams as well. Which makes sense because it can be a difficult lane dealing with the Cassiopeias.
Yeah, and getting that extra global pressure, even with a team that already has Galio, is a good idea. It just means that it's going to be even harder for Bowman to contest the level 1, 2, and 3 Cassiopeia lane, which, while Cassiopeia is incredibly strong in the late game, that's what you usually hear in regards to her strength, her level 2 and 3 are actually disgustingly strong because Twin Fangs just can't be matched in DPS by most mid laners at that point.
Absolutely, both Bowman and Sniper Chicken trading blows here.
As King of Uganda looks to get some damage into Jazz Knight. If either of these supports go low, it's going to be a very dangerous situation for them since they both are missing flash.
Absolutely.
And already we have some aggressive moves across the board, and I like it. I want to see... I don't really want to see another 18-minute game. However, it's not as interesting as seeing a much more hard-fought game. There's the early level 2 for Uganda looking to land some damage into Jazz Knight, realizing this Karma is weak without flash, going to try and get as much damage as he can.
Absolutely. Bowman and Sniper Chicken still going at it, both about the same HP, though Sniper Chicken has just used the last Corrupting Potion charge.
It's true. He actually burned one really early on at level 1, basically full, just to try and get the extra damage out of it, and he wasn't able to get more than 1 Twin Fangs while it was up, so actually put him at something of a disadvantage here, and may be costing him pretty dearly. Bowman now distorting forward is going to land the extra damage off the Sigil and Thunderlord's proc.
That definitely has to sting a bit, though. Sniper Chicken still has the barrier to work with, so it's not over.
And Sejuani is hanging around in the bush as well, so we may yet see something come of that. Warwick, meanwhile, I think is soloing Dragon right now, but we've got action in the mid lane. Sniper Chicken having to burn both summoners to get out, and I don't think there's any chance that Sejuani gets the kill here. Yeah, Bowman has flash. He's going to have distortion soon. He's got allies coming from the bottom side of the map. W03 has to back away, and Juicy's going to be able to solo the Dragon. At level 3, Warwick is crazy.
That is kind of disgusting, but not completely unexpected. Oh no, Sniper Chicken giving
first blood to Bowman!
Sniper Chicken desperately wanted that CS, but Bowman found it, and it looked like he's going to get away too. Well, maybe not.
He's going to have distortion up in just a few moments here, but there's the slow. No, W03 doesn't want to keep chasing. Reasonably so, I think. Meanwhile, top lane though, Optic Waffles is getting the better of this trade in the Fendies, which I kind of anticipated. J4 does pretty well into Galio, and Cassiopeia usually does pretty well into LeBlanc as well, but Bowman did a great job of taking trades on his own terms, avoiding critically getting poisoned, which meant that Twin Fangs didn't have nearly as much damage potential.
Absolutely. And it's like you mentioned that the burned Corrupting Potion charge actually probably made a difference there, because he could have used that for sustain.
Yeah, for sure. He missed out on maybe around 100 health in regards to that. So pretty dang significant when he was dying by a margin of 20 or 30 health or so.
Absolutely. And we do see
But-
they both return to lane, but with a Doran's Ring and a Dark Seal.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Bullman also has a jungler here to help him out, as there's the first of many Thunderlords procs. There's the Fear back under the wrong turret, and Sniper Chicken goes down once again, bullying the immobile Cassiopeia. And even into a lane matchup that traditionally doesn't go well for LeBlanc, if she gets ahead, doesn't really matter what the matchup is. She's going to start to snowball hard.
Absolutely. Be curious to see if Sniper Chicken decides to play a bit more cautiously. Playing a bit too aggressive there, honestly. With very little vision in that river made him an easy gank.
Speaking of not having vision in the river, or rather there is actually vision in the river for Optic Waffles. He's got one in that river bush, but it may not matter. She's still going to make it into the lane, laughing maniacally as he jumps onto the back of the Prince of Demacia. Nixade still fully back as Bullman roams to the bottom lane, manages to claim a kill, actually goes over to Lucian. And 4-0 lead for Here We Win is looking pretty good for him.
Absolutely, they're doing very well for themselves currently, and especially with Juicy doing some very, very strong roaming across the map as that jungler. Hello.
So Sejuani does make it to the bottom side of the map in time, might be able to deny Bard going to the portal. No, he makes it out. And I don't think Pazu's in any real danger here either. Actually, it might be WO's in danger. King of Uganda gets the kill. Pazu continuing the fight with Nixay. He can just avoid stepping on the trap. He has this one with the minions. Pazu gets the kill.
Oh no, Team 7 is just falling apart, unfortunately, here.
All of the advantages that I saw in their draft are just crashing around them. Warwick has gotten more successful ganks than Sejuani before level 6. Cassiopeia has been thrashed in lane, and the Caitlyn Karma lane is at a CS disadvantage. Everything is backwards.
I mean, Team 7 is going to work very hard to recover here. They're at a huge disadvantage at 7 minutes. 3k difference in gold.
And you do have to respect their endgame potential, I suppose. They've got good team fight initiation between Jarvan and Sejuani, really good follow-up with the Cassiopeia ult, and all the damage they'll need between Cassiopeia and Caitlyn, but they have to get there, and they are not on track at the moment. King of Uganda, bullying his way into the enemy jungle, is going to find not only a Karma, but also a red buff, that potentially, with the help of his jungler mid laner, they could steal.
Absolutely.
Nixay face checks into Pazu, who does have the advantage right now in terms of itemization, and one more off claim to kill, a killing spree indeed for the Lucian.
Absolutely. For Nixay just getting melted by that item advantage is just huge right now for Pasu. 3-0 and 1 now.
And Optic Waffles is no longer able to bully Fendi's nearly as badly as he was. And with just a little bit of health and armor, this Galio is going to start to be a lot more durable in this lane.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised to see Optic Waffles just leave the Tiamat as is and get the Black Cleaver next.
Yeah, I mean, Fendi's is actually trading just about evenly there. He trades more than evenly. He gets the kill. Meanwhile, in bottom lane, Karma goes down too. And, oh, this is just disaster. We may see another 18-minute game.
And it feels like Team 7 is unfortunately possibly tilting here.
I think that's the right word for it. Is there were some early mistakes that just seemed to get into their heads, particularly in the mid lane with Sniper Chicken, though he's played a lot more reserved over the last few minutes. But it may be way too little, way too late, and there's the cloned Sigil. Another Sigil to follow up. Sniper just being bullied back now by point-and-click abilities. Like, you can't deal with that. You can't dodge that.
Absolutely, and it looks like he might be in trouble here.
Really good miasma. That completely canceled any possibility of a Warwick ulti. Still burned Flash. Still had to burn Flash on the way out, but nonetheless, saved his life.
Absolutely, and we once again seen Here We Win with the aggressive jungle plays, walking into the enemy jungle and just stealing every camp they can.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the biggest prop that I would give to this team. They seem to very much understand that advantages need to transfer into more advantages, and they play with a sort of measured aggression where they're constantly trying to take something else. So far, it's worked out beautifully for them in this tournament.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, we see more of this team in future.
Indeed, we do see the Dragon is going to be up in 10 seconds, and Riftsheld not far behind that.
I mean, if Warwick can manage to take the Dragon at, what was it?
3 minutes.
5 minutes? Something along those
Something like
lines?
that.
Then I'm pretty sure you can take it at 10.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a level 3. I'm going to say that's where the 3 came from. He's level 3. Oh, hello, Nixay.
Goodbye, I think, is the more appropriate
Yeah, it does fit a little bit better.
word here, rather than hello. Hotel isn't a good word either. Probably doesn't work in the current
I do
situation.
believe there's a song called Hello
But,
Goodbye.
yeah, it's a good one from the Beatles. 10-0 kill lead. Another dragon, another ocean drake, in fact, goes down. As Pazu with the Blade of the Rune King completed is more than a match for Optic Waffles. He's on a rampage. Like a term well deserved.
Things are looking very grim. We're seeing Pasu continue to push that top side. There's only one turret down, but it is a 6k lead at 10 minutes, and that's huge, honestly.
And the turrets will shortly follow. They've rotated their Lucian topside. He's wailing away on an outer turret right now. LeBlanc shoving in wave after wave means that the outer turret in mid lane as well as below half health. And right now, Team 7 is just made of so much tissue paper. They'll fall apart at the first sign of conflict unless there's some really huge overstep of the other team. Like, first items are being completed before pieces of items are even done on the enemy team. And Optic Waffles is going to try and defend this top lane turret, but a teleport coming in, as well as Pazu finishing the turret off, means that he may end up just giving his life for the attempt. Pazu kiting back beautifully, getting the lifesteal from the Blade, and still maintaining a perfect game.
Absolutely. Zendy's being there may have actually saved his life, but it was still very, very close if it had been a one-on-one, either way.
Juicy coming to the mid lane. He does manage to point blank ulti onto Sniper Chicken. The ulti back from Sniper, though, onto Bullman. He's actually melting him pretty well. Juicy gets the rampage, but he will give up the first kill of the match to Team 7.
Team 7 getting a little bit of light at the tunnel there, but it is still a very tiny light.
And you have to look at the juxtaposition of resources burned there. Like, that was multiple ultimates from Team 7 for one kill. And meanwhile, they're still going to be losing more as a flash double taunt from Thendies gets a rampage. Jazz Knight will just about escape with his life, but his jungler may not be so lucky. WO3 getting flashed onto, and there's the culling. Jazz Knight doesn't even make it out alive. Nobody lives.
Beautiful play by Pasu. Gotta give Thendies huge credit as well. That was an excellent flash taunt, grabbing both Nixay and the Jazz Knight there.
Galio's taunt is such a potent tool. One of the most powerful basic abilities in the game, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Capable of setting up teamfights better than some ultimates. And yeah, Here We Win is, I think, basically incapable of losing this game at this point, unless there's some absolutely horrible series of misplays, one after another. Seems like a fanciful oasis on the horizon of this desert of kills the T7 is stuck in.
Absolutely. Sniper Chicken looking to try and bait Pasu in. We did see W03 just sitting across the wall there, but Pasu playing a bit cautiously. He doesn't have flash, he doesn't have heal.
Yeah, he doesn't have a reason to go aggressive here. He can just keep farming it up, wait for his team, and then once they're here, they can force a play. It's not like Sniper Chicken can really punish him in any way for shoving his lane up, as Optic Waffles is going to get feared up. Actually, a little bit of stack CC there, but it doesn't really seem to matter, as Juicy is perfectly happy to burn the ulti, and Optic Waffles gets turned into toast.
Absolutely. He's now Optic Toast, not Optic Waffles.
Yes, that was the joke. So something.
Oh.
If you can call it one.
Nixay taking
Again,
huge
Bowman,
chunks of damage.
He basically has only landed the point and click stuff so far. He doesn't really need to land anything else, but, you know, probably could have done with not stepping on that trap.
The trap actually was huge in that play. It kept Nixay alive, let him get the double procs and the headshot.
WO3 over the wall. King of Uganda kind of just ignoring him as Galio comes in for the play. Pazu now bullying 2 back in the mid lane is actually going to walk straight under the turret to claim 1. Maybe gets 2. No, he gets shut down as the Petrifying Gaze holds him in place. WO3 now the victim of what we saw earlier from King of Uganda. Perfectly happy to ult onto turrets just so that his team can safely dive. And I think Thendies actually has this 1v1 if he can just get in onto Nixay. But it won't be 1v1 for long. Optic Waffles is here. Thendies actually can't dash out of the Jarvan ulti, but he doesn't need to. Bullman's here to get his back with the kill onto Nixay and chasing Optic Waffles back.
Absolutely. And while this is happening, Juicy is in the mid lane with the Rift Herald pushing turrets.
Uganda here to help him out a little bit. And these are those turrets that you were lamenting they didn't have earlier. Rift Herald will do a good enough job of helping him get them.
Absolutely.
I don't think they're going to be beating their earlier record from the quarters, but Here We Win are certainly on pace to tie it, perhaps, or come close, come very close.
Absolutely. No.
Juicy with the ulti, lands it onto Sniper Chicken. He doesn't actually have a lot of damage himself, but Pazu is there to help him out. Jazz Knight goes down. Sniper Chicken now slowed up, is a easy target for the culling. WO3 will tank as much as he can with a magical journey, cuts off the chicken. He does manage to slither back into base. Meanwhile, Nixday cut out and taken out of the picture in the bottom lane, and this will be another turret down, I imagine, as they shove down the mid lane, actually. I expected them to rotate bot, but I guess they can just go for an inhib turret.
Absolutely. Why take $10 when you can take 20?
It's an inadequate analogy.
It's simple, but I think it works.
It does work. Inhibitor will be going down, though, at 15 or 16 minutes or so.
I guess they're taking 220s.
Unless they get the lead back here, actually. No, there's Sejuani ultimate up at the very least, and Petrifying Gaze. So Teamfight might not have been the best call there, and that's why we're seeing them back away.
And they are opting to instead take another prize, which looks like it might be the dragon. That's a pretty big prize still.
Infernal Drake should be easy pickings for them. If they indeed want to go for it at all, they're going to be just trying to bait the enemy team with a very tiny magical journey. But there's the Sejuani ulti I was talking about. Bard to buy some time with Tempered Fate. Dash in from Pazu, he's getting some great damage down, but he's down below half health himself. But Jazz Knight is not going to be nearly enough to finish that kill. And Bullman over the wall will get a killing spree. WO3 now caught between a rock and a hard place, has nowhere left to go, dashes back in, tries to trade with Pazu. But it is a fleet and feeble dream.
Absolutely. And
I don't know about that teleport from Optic Bubbles. His team was already well and away out of the picture.
absolutely. I think he wanted Bullman, but it was Thendes with the ultimate ready to dash on in and say no.
And I mean, it's a LeBlanc to begin with. I don't think he was getting the kill either way. There's the ulti on the Optic Waffles, suppressed for an eternity, and sent to an early grave. Bullman is on a rampage. It is 27-3 with a 13k gold lead. Oh man, make that a 14k gold lead by 17.5 minutes.
Absolutely. And it looks like they're easily going to take that turret and then back off. Thendes might go for this inhibitor. He is on his way.
Well, it looks like, by all accounts and all measures, HWW is going to be heading to the finals, and I'm excited to see them there.
Absolutely. The only way they don't go to the finals here is if all of their internet's pretty much shut down at the same time, because I don't think even losing one member would be enough to make a comeback for Team 7 here.
Always with the surprise internet disconnection effect. It's always what you bring up.
Well, it's either that or a meteor.
Yeah, that figures into your equations as well, and I still don't quite understand why. But one way or another, I doubt that's going to happen very much. And Baron will be up in a minute and a half now.
One in several billion.
There's an open inhibitor in the mid lane. This is basically a game just waiting to be won.
We see HWW just abusing T7 here.
There's the Sejuani ulti to try and disengage. We'll see whether or not it's successful as Sniper Chicken goes down. And the last remaining turret outside of the base is turned to ruin.
Absolutely. And
Oh, there's the surrender.
G, a valiant effort by Team 7 in the beginning of the game, but HWW they grabbed hold of the reins of this game and never let go. They just kept full throttle the whole game.
It only took them 10 more seconds than the last one. If T7 had held out, then it would have taken a little longer, but pardon me, with the surrender, it only took 18 minutes and 50 seconds rather than 18 minutes and 40. We should be getting into the finals pretty shortly, unless we can get into the next semifinal match. But either way, give us just a few minutes here, guys, and we'll be back with you.
We'll be right back. Excuse me, English is hard. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere.
feel so alive. I've never felt this way before. It must be you and I. It's got me thinking about us more. It's these bright lights that put me in a daze, and I can't stop but think about the way that you move around up and down on that stage. It's your future vibes. Bright lights that put me in a trance, so I feel like I can do it all. It's a good life that I really want. It's those future vibes. I got those future vibes. outside lane, missing exits, I'm glued to the pavement. Between the lines, I keep my gaze straight ahead as the last stop flies by. No more waiting for the gun to fire. No more walking through revolving doors. I've gone around once, and I don't need to go around anymore. It's time to break away. Forget your sober case. Stop dwelling on empty words. Stop stalling in the doorway. Cancel the cruise control. Switching the manual. Don't you wanna feel right again? Don't you wanna feel whole? Don't you wanna feel? Full steam through the setbacks. You can't win them all, but I'm proud I tried. Glad we had a dialogue. It's good to shape the mind. Speeding up the pace, turning up the heat. Where I need to be for the first time. Taking risks, I'm casting off without a lifeline. Break away, forget your sober case. Stop dwelling on empty words. Stop stalling in the doorway. Cancel the cruise control. Switching the manual. Don't you wanna feel right again? Don't you wanna feel whole? Don't you wanna feel? Break away, forget your sober case. Stop dwelling on empty words. Stop stalling in the doorway.
Fill me out with your smile. Like the sunshine brings the light. Fill me out with a flame. I will let you in this game. Take me out when I'm down. 'Cause with you I'm safe and sound. 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 I'm safe and sound.
Where are you going? Going so fast tonight. Have you ever stopped beside the road to smell the rose of life? Take a breath now. Don't hold it in too long. 'Cause you might end up missing out on that short little song. She's saying, ooh, you've got one life to live. She's singing, ooh, you've got one life to live. Don't let it go. Ooh, you've got one life to live. She's singing, ooh, you've got one life to live. Don't let it go. You've got one life to live, don't let it go. Can you let go of it all tonight? Or will you decide to push on through and ignore the words inside? Take a breath now, don't hold it in too long. 'Cause you'll find you're missing out on last short little song. She's saying, ooh, you've got one life to live. She's singing, ooh, you've got one life to live. Don't let it go. Ooh, you've got one life to live. She's singing, ooh, you've got one life to live. Don't let it go. brothers on the rise now. Endless celebrations all in my house. Levitating now, I'm super duper fly now. London boy, but DC where I reside now. Put the time in while you always yelling time out. And for critic, cause I know I'm coming with it. You were sitting, you were wishing I was handling my business. Now I got the ball like Harry Potter playing Quidditch. And my business is humongous, you would think that happens in it. Damn man, I'm all that, yeah, I'm all that. Looking for that whip, yeah, that what you call that. I'ma blow up in the summer, have them yelling fall back. And I've always been ahead like an effing ball cap. Man, I came in the game like whoa. Got a couple chains on me cause I like gold. They told me I'm the best and I told them I know. Cause when I'm in your town, every ticket I sold. Yeah, this ain't on the man. Facts, bro. Lot of haters, tell me where they at though. I'm the new pop, all I do is rap though. Want me on your song, throw a couple stats, yo. Woo! Everybody wanna do the same thing, yo. That's why we ain't on the same page. Do my own thing, and I maintain. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah, I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah. I'm going mainstream. Damn. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. So I'm going mainstream. When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind works backwards just for a minute, I hold on to you before the memories gone. I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember, I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember. Close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind works backwards just for a minute, I hold on to you before the memory's gone. I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I
And we're back. Sorry for the delay, folks, but we are ready for the last match of the evening. And that is going to be between Here We Win and, if I'm remembering this correctly, Mentally Unstable.
That indeed. And Here We Win's going to be on the blue side. Mentally Unstable will be on the red. And we're going to start it off with an Ivern ban. No friendly forest fathers today, sadly. Unless there's an out guy picked, I guess. I don't know. He doesn't quite fit the same bill. He's not nearly as friendly.
He is
looking to smash you.
He's
and
an angry
eradicate
tree.
magic. He is very much an angry tree. We've got an angry tree and a happy tree on the rift. I wonder if they're going to do all the other emotions. Maybe the rest of the seven dwarves will have a grumpy tree, a sleepy tree. I don't remember the others. The joke kind of dwindles out because I didn't really keep up with my fairy tales.
Yeah, I kind of have to join you there. I'm not particularly. I don't remember, to say the least, the details.
To do all seven of them, to make them truly dwarven trees, they'd have to do a bonsai tree, one of the little tiny ones. But we're getting a bit off topic here. LeBlanc banned out against Bullman, which makes quite a lot of sense. He was into an unfavorable matchup in the semifinals and still crushed that lane. So banning away as LeBlanc is a good plan, I think, going into this finals here, as Twitch is taken out of the picture as well. Doesn't seem like Pazu really likes to play that pick, as they've banned it out pretty much every game, and it's certainly top tier at the moment, so taking it out of the picture makes sense.
Absolutely, and it is also going to be a Caitlyn ban.
Which still leaves Lucian up, potentially, for Pazu.
Pazu, of course, has done quite well on that Lucian multiple times in a row now.
And we've seen AD carry first picks tonight. Two of them, I think, possibly, if memory serves. At least one. We've seen at least one. Elise taken away from Tavares, and we'll see what this last ban is before we get to the draft. If it isn't a Thresh, I think we might see a Thresh first pick, potentially. King of Uganda was talking about it a lot in the pre-game lobby. And it's been banned against him every game so far. And it's not going to be banned out this time. So we might see a Thresh first pick.
Yeah.
Or we might see a Lucian first pick. Those are the two things I'm anticipating.
Oh, it's actually going to be a
or
Zach.
Zach.
It was open this time. That's true.
Zach has not made it through once so far tonight. And with good reason. Zach is very, very powerful at the moment. So that does leave both Thresh and Lucian up, actually. The wife steal lane.
They could very easily pick it up in this next set of picks. We'll have to see what Hamiro and Tavares pick, if I'm pronouncing this correctly. And it's going to be a Gragas.
Yeah, imagine you are. Gragas, as a relatively flexible pick early on, can go into top and jungle. Right now, I think an AD carry is actually potentially a priority. That's why I'm anticipating the Lucian pick, because two of the best AD carries are out of the picture right now. You might want to get on that while the gooding's good, but Tahm Kench will be locked in as they get themselves a support instead.
Absolutely. So that's most likely a support Tahm Kench, but I say that, but last week we had a top lane Tahm Kench, so who knows?
Very true. Could still be flexible, yeah. Gragas can go jungle, Tahm Kench top. Tahm Kench can even jungle, theoretically, though his clear is very slow and he's vulnerable to invades. But it's a possibility. Not that Zach is too amazing at invading, but there's the Thresh that I was anticipating, and it looks like it's going to get locked in. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Lucy in here as well. But potentially instead a jungler. A top laner for Thendis to match up against the Gragas.
Absolutely. But if I had to predict, I'd say it's probably going to be Lucian. But we just don't know for sure because we still have about 7 seconds left on the clock here. Bullman taking his time.
If you want to hide your draft, there's the Lucian. I think if you want to hide your draft as much as possible, you can go for that top laner pick there and have it be pretty safe. Pick something like, relatively safe into the Gragas. Even go for a Fiora if you want, because Fiora is still on the table and I imagine might get banned out in the second round of bans. But Lucian and Thresh securing a really powerful bottom lane for Pazu and Uganda makes about as much sense.
Absolutely. We're still waiting on this very last pick here. It's going to be a Kog'Maw.
Yeah, into a lane that's going to be that aggressive. Thresh and Lucian. That's not the sort of lane I would personally pick a Kog'Maw into, but they do have Tahm Kench to help him out, survive that lane, get him out of danger's way, and then pull through into the end game. Maybe.
Absolutely. If they can make it to the late game, they can obviously just melt people with the Kog'Maw, but they have to get there first.
Ooh, pardon me. Tap my mic a little bit, didn't mean to. And they will presumably have something of a task getting through to the end game.
Absolutely. It's going to be a ban. defend Kog'Maw as much as possible, I would imagine, and the Shen, Orianna, Karma bans.
Yeah, that Karma ban is really interesting because it says that, and a Lulu ban.
So
So it says that we don't think that Tahm Kench is a support.
That's indeed. That is indeed what it says.
And they don't want to have a powerful protection support for Kog'Maw. That kind of plays right into their hands, though, because they can just put Tahm Kench in support and then pick something else really solid for top or jungle. And now it is a Tahm Kench support for sure. Yeah, it's Riven top. Gragas jungle.
I haven't seen Riven here in a long time.
See how well Himera performs on it. It is something of a feast or famine champion, but when Riven does feast, she feasts fiercely.
Yes.
So we'll see what it's into.
She's very hungry.
Maybe a Jarvan top lane. It'll be a Jarvan top lane since Zach has been locked in jungle. So Jarvan into Riven. Riven has a lot more potential in a sustained trade because her cooldowns are much, much lower, and her passive gives her that extra bit of sustained damage. It's going to be difficult for Jarvan to out-trade Riven if he doesn't manage to just burst her and then leave.
Yes. If he can get a couple hits in and back off before assuming Hamiro can stick. Hamiro's going to want to extend the fight for as long as possible. And
you know the really cool thing here, though? Jarvan and Vladimir being their last two picks means that they actually have some flexibility in their draft now. They can theoretically put Jarvan mid and Vlad top. J4 mid is something that has seen competitive play a few times in the past. It's not very frequent, but it can do decently well into some matchups. Jarvan does not do great into Riven. So if they need to, they could theoretically swap these solo lanes. Doesn't look like that's the plan at the moment.
I would say it's probably not. Because from experience as a Vladimir player, Vladimir does very poorly into Riven.
True, he would at least have the range to farm safely, but one way or another, we've got both drafts fully locked in. The Malzahar will be the last pick, and that's going to be going into Vladimir and they've got. I mean, when they picked the Kog'Maw into the Thresh Lucian, I expected to protect the Cog comp, like you actually mentioned when they did that, but Riven Malzahar doesn't really scream protection to me.
It looks like the protection in this case is going to be try to kill everybody before they kill Kog'Maw.
Like the bans are really curious to me. There's two support bans after a support pick was already picked, and then there's two protection-oriented bans in solo lanes. They banned out their own Shen and Orianna that could perhaps have been really good in a Kog'Maw comp.
Absolutely.
They banned out picks that work amazingly with their AD carry.
I'm guessing they didn't expect the double support ban. I'm thinking that Tahm Kench was meant to be a solo lane, and that they wanted a shield support, but Karma and Lulu got banned out.
Well, either way, we do have to get to the spectator delay. We've gone through the bans and the picks, and now we just have to get into the gameplay. Give us just a few moments before we get there, folks.
Absolutely. We'll be right back, folks. Do not go anywhere.
Find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right. It feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. It feels right. It feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. This is just a must. Put me in perspective, I'm the deepest in the cut. Everybody tuning in, but this is just for us now. We know I ain't ballin' yet. Hoes wanna holler, oh no, I don't call them back. Girl, let me see you hold it down, we gon' have a blast. Cause I just wanna know what I'll admit it. You got me feeling hella loved, even when it's going down. Know that we gon' live it up. Young shot caller, always been a baller. Know that you the one, I can feel it in my heart. Yeah, I won't stop charging. We going come harder. I can see you and I way beyond the stars, girl. I can never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right. It feels right. It feels right.
And we're back, ready for the last match of the evening between Here We Win on the blue side and Mentally Unstable on the red side.
And I'm mentally unstable on the caster desk. No, sorry. I'll have a better one. I'll have a better one partway through the game, I promise. Give me a few minutes to think of a terrible joke, and I'll get there. In the meantime, though, we've got a few minutes before the laning phase really starts. Let's talk about some of these matchups a little bit. Hey, you got anything interesting for me, Effect? Any stats, any figures, any numbers you want to throw my way? Or no?
Well,
No.
I think Bullman is going to have a difficult time, but we said that about him last time as well, and he did just fine.
That's
But
true.
either lane
He picks these.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, after you.
Whichever lane he decides to go to is going to be painful in its own right, because Malzahar and Riven are both very strong against Vladimir's early game. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
It seems like he's going to be going mid, that's for sure. Anyways, another thing I'm excited for this game is King of Uganda on Thresh. It's been banned out against him every game so far tonight, so I'm excited to see why. You know, I want to see some flash hooks at max range, or landing a beautiful lantern to pull his team into victory, or something like that. I want to see good Thresh play, because I know I never see it when I play him.
Well, if his Braum play,
got that? Oh, okay.
if his I've forgotten. Bards. I said I was saying a mix of Braum and Bard. It's like, that's not right. If his Bard play is any indicator of his skill as a Thresh player, then we're in for a treat, I think.
Which might be, I guess. I don't know. He can certainly land skill shots, and that is half of what Thresh is. Bowman playing aggressively into Laconics, making good use of the Blood Rush passive. He's going to get a decent trade against the Mells early on. And he does have the advantage in the level 1, theoretically, against Malzahar. Provided, of course, he can play around with the Vladimir. It's actually super important for Bowman to take trades when he has Blood Rush up, and it looks like he's doing it once again.
Absolutely, doing huge chunks of damage there. And it's worth
Krav with the... Oh. Yeah, Krav with the new skin is doing some good damage on the Thendies.
Thendies did not have level 2
as
there.
The first hook is a success. Pulls Tavares back, there's the two-man flay, and Tavares goes down for the first blood already. Going to Pazu. Heal and Flash are both up. There's just no respect for the damage there from the Kog'Maw.
Absolutely, and both mid laners using their Ignite there. Leonix, not Laconic, sorry, is having a difficult time eating my own words, it seems.
Oh, Leonix, yes, indeed. That's not a C, that's an E. Apologies for that. But yeah, Leonix getting bullied back. A very early, somewhat curious kill, honestly, going over to Pazio. I didn't expect the Kog'Maw to die there, and I guess neither did the Kog'Maw. As Bullman is going to do some great damage to Leonix, but find himself on the front end of the first gank of the game. Himiro taking advantage of the flashless Vladimir.
Absolutely. Himiro actually with a very nice body slam barrel combo with a flash. I don't know why, that Riven skin has some very smooth animations.
It does. My one complaint with it is that when she ults, she turns all glowy, and it's kind of hard to tell the difference between her and some other very glowy, shiny champions. But here's Juicy over the wall, and Krav is down. Both junglers getting success with their first games.
Absolutely. And it's worth noting that Thendes has opted to not take a offensive keystone. He has the, oh, I've forgotten the name of it.
Grasp of the Undime?
Yes.
Yes.
Usually on Jarvan's we see something like Fervor or even Thunderlords, but he's opted to go for a more sustain-oriented.
And it does supply some amount of damage as well, and can be very valuable into laners who like to trade consistently. But there's a teleport coming to the bottom lane, a hook to keep the fight going. Brutal Logic has to flash away for fear of the flay, but it's still going to land. He does have his gray health. He's going to have to pop that on the way out as the exhaust comes down. No casualties, but a few summoners burn.
Absolutely. And Krav also burned his own teleport to get back to lane, but that doesn't mean he is going to be able to get more CS ahead of Fendi, who is already behind.
Yeah, 15 or 16 up now, and Fendi's has to take the long way back, having burned the teleport to get to the bottom lane. It's going to miss out on another wave or two under the turret here. Maybe not quite that much, but a good significant chunk of gold going to waste.
Absolutely. And on that note, Tavares also having a hard time.
Oh, man. Brutal has no summoners available. He does have the gray skin, though, and looks like he'll just about make it out.
King
But he has to base here.
Absolutely. King of Uganda not lying about that Thresh play.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason he's been banned out every game so far. I don't think he's missed a hook yet. As Gragas is wandering around near the mid lane, he's probably going to be joining into this fight on Leonix, who gets whacked back into the minion wave, but here comes Himiro from jungle, and body slam landing onto Juicy, who does still have his passive, so even if he goes down, there's going to be a lot of time bought, and in the meantime, Malzahar melts away. And Juicy gets out without even burning the salvation.
Bullman showing off why he is playing and I am not. No hesitation, doing quite well into a lane I thought was at a disadvantage for him.
To be fair, there has been a lot of jungle intervention in this mid lane.
That is true.
Gragas and Zac have been there collectively 4 times. We're only 5 or 6 minutes into the game. As Krav pushes things back away from the minion wave, and with good reason, he's managed to finish the Caulfield Warhammer, and he's even got level lead, the most critical of all leads. He's level 6, while his opponent is still 5.
Absolutely. Yeah. Juicy is nearby, but Juicy has no health, so I think it's unlikely that we're going to see any assistance.
And he can't really fight this. I think Krav could have kept going on that.
Probably, but he is playing cautiously for the time being. He doesn't know Juicy is low near him. Yeah, Juicy's going to be forced to back.
He's got a pink ward in the river. He's got at least some early warning.
It is a Zac, though. He could come over the wall.
That's very true. So fighting that close to the turret is rather risky. I don't know. I feel like it's just against the spirit of a Riven player to play that safe.
A little bit. Usually they're...
He's doing it wrong.
He is doing a bit of scouting in the jungle.
Some good damage from Tides of Blood. There's the Hemoplague. Ignite comes down. Is it gonna pop? Bowman flashing for the kill, realizing he had it well and truly and could get back out easily with the pool. Easy solo kill for the Vladimir. Very clean.
Absolutely. Thendes gonna go ahead and back. He's very low on mana, unfortunately. One of the disadvantages against Riven, who doesn't have a resource.
Yep. One of Riven's many advantages in the laning phase against a lot of champions. It's why she's such a laning queen in a lot of regards, as she's now almost 30 CS up, which is pretty much disastrous for a Jarvan.
Absolutely. I'm very curious to see which route Thendes goes.
Engaging here onto Brutal Logic. There are no ultimates available yet in the bottom lane on that side. Still a lot of harass done onto the Tom. King Uganda still going in. He has the jungler coming in as well. There's the Let's Bounce, pulling Tavares and Brutal Logic back to an untimely demise. King Uganda going to flash away and avoid the Acathian.
Absolutely. Juicy with a surprise vault over the wall.
This does mean that Krav knows where the Zac is right now and might be able to take advantage of that. I don't think he quite has enough of a lead to dive on the Thendies, but after Thendies comes back out from under the turret, maybe we see an aggressive move from this river.
Absolutely. If he had another item, maybe he could dive, but he doesn't, so.
Yeah, mainly because he didn't stagger his base correctly. He has teleport up right now. I think if he had based as Thendies did, he would have been able to buy a bit more of an item lead and then maybe actually go for a dot. But at the moment, he's not really trading very well with the Jarvan because he's sitting on how much gold here? Just about 1.2, 1.3k gold that isn't items.
Absolutely. Hamiro trying to take Juicy in the jungle, but there's just no one there to really hello as I say that.
Beautiful body slam! Interrupting Juicy's attempted turnaround as Leonic and a left for his ulti. But Bullman gets some sustain off of Transfusion. The hook interrupting Krav from his mobility. And things looked like they could maybe turn around a little bit in the bottom lane there. Just kind of in general. But Here We Win are still very much ahead this game.
Absolutely. Pasu with the aggressive play.
Leonix is down once again. This has been such a rough lane for the Malzahar. And Juicy attempting to steal the blue buff is not going to be quite so lucky. And Hamiro's actually flashing forward. He lands the slow. Body slam will be up in just a moment. There it is. Juicy should go down with the skill shots. Whiff! Juicy doesn't even lose the cell division. He leaps over the wall and he's gone. Pazu peeling for his jungler. Does not have the benefit of the death passive, so does have to flash away. But here's King of Uganda coming in from behind. He doesn't have a lot of team members to help him out here, though. But he's buying time. He's going to lantern into Vladimir. There's a teleport coming in. Juicy gets popped into his passive. Finally, that is a very, very small victory for Mentally Unstable. And Brutal Logic is the price they pay.
Absolutely. Things have been painful. They really wanted Juicy. They almost had Pasu, but the summoners were alive, and the teleport from Thendies was enough to help save the day.
Krav is getting some work done in the top lane. He's going to shove in a wave or two, maybe get some damage down. And Samiro actually gets caught out, rotating topside. He gets the Courage of the Colossus shield, but I don't think that'll be nearly enough, as Gromp is witness to his murder.
Actually, it looks like they just cut him off as because he was still trying to escape from that fight. And they just...
maybe rejoin Krav, get some backup from the Riven, but it's just a dangerous path to take.
Absolutely.
Maybe the only one available to him. It's unfortunate. And something I do want to hit on, actually, in this matchup between Vladimir and Malzahar, it's actually changed in such a way as to be a little bit more favorable for the Vladimir because they nerfed Malzahar's minion health.
That is true.
So that they only have 1 bar of health now. So pretty much literally anything that hits them, like almost literally anything, kills them. And so the AoE from Tides of Blood is enough to kill off every single one of Malzahar's minions that's in range. And that makes the lane much, much easier for Vladimir to work with.
Absolutely. And of course, to be fair, I'm also still thinking on an older spectrum of when Vladimir and Malzahar are different from what they are now. And yeah, look at the minions just melt.
So that's obviously only one small part of the matchup, but even just that little change is enough to make it somewhat easier for the Malzahar. I mean, pardon me, for the Vladimir.
Nope.
Krav is looking for a fight. And he's dashing away again. I don't know. Maybe that wasn't the right fight to take. But that probably wasn't, actually, because Zac was waiting in the bush. But there have been a lot of opportunities for engages from Krav that he's backed away from, perhaps sometimes a little too cautiously, which is strange to see from a Riven.
Absolutely. He is working on that Black Cleaver, but... Oh, hello.
Ramiro, on the other hand, has always been willing to pick a fight. The King of Uganda is his latest victim. Leonix proves to be not quite the escape route that Uganda thought he was. And he goes down to the Nether Grass.
He hooks Leonix, and Leonix is like, fine, I'll stare at you to death.
I'm more than happy to take that kill. Thank you very much. Jarvan, meanwhile, is pushing down the bottom lane. And here's the engage that I've been waiting for from... Quite an easy target, though, and Pasu's unstoppable with a crit or two.
Pasu has a very large gold lead over Krav right now. And didn't
Over everybody.
It didn't
5-0.
absolutely, and didn't even need to use the heal there.
I don't know. I feel like
if he had
maybe
one completed
Krav
item.
under it. Here comes Juicy. The knockup doesn't land, but he still manages to pull him back and toss him against one of his own minions. Let's bounce just for the knockup, but Leonix will be fine and walk on out. Not a lot of damage coming from a full tank Zac.
We are seeing a possible dragon. They are getting some vision around it.
There's enough of a lead on enough members of Here We Win that I don't think Dragon can really be contested either. Nice play from Uganda.
That was impressive.
I don't think Hamiro is going to be that punished for it, but it was well timed nonetheless.
Absolutely. It's kind of showing off a little bit.
Yeah, hence the mastery flash. But yeah, Dragon is on the table at the moment. Probably going to be an easy take. And that added to the last outer turret going down is a sizable early lead for Here We Win.
Absolutely. And there is the dragon going down. Well, possibly wanting to pick another fight with Krav. He won that last one pretty handedly.
And he still has both summoners and his ulti. Well, not quite both. His flash is a few moments away, but he's going to have summoners and culling as well, so it's never a good thing when the Riven with a 40 CS lead still can't kill the enemy AD carry.
Partially because the AD carry still has the lead.
Hamiro no longer welcome in even his own jungle as Bullman flashes for the kill onto the Kog'Maw. Thendy's stealing it away. The Ignite Hema Blade would have done it, but Thendy's wanted some gold. He had a rough laning phase. He's coming back into it though, 3-0-2 now.
Absolutely. He's still massively behind in CS, but it's primarily because Krav hasn't left that top lane at all.
Yeah, I mean he's killed a lot of minions, but we haven't really seen much else from this Riven pick. Maybe now is the time to shine. Coming in from the jungle potentially for a team fight. It's the Broken Wings.
He has the flash.
But dashes away. Nope, there's the Malzahar engage onto Bullman, who's melted away from the Space Age and the Ignite. But he's not quite going down yet, and he sustains his way out of there. Juicy kills off Brutal Logic, and it's a botched engage against Here We Win. Pardon.
Absolutely. Krav very nervous to jump into that fight. He maybe had an opportunity to jump in on Bullman while he was being suppressed, but he decided not to go in.
There's going to be a secondary mid lane turret falling, crumbling to bits, never to be seen again. And we're on track for another easy victory from Here We Win. Another feather in their cap, of which it is already quite feathered tonight. They've had 2 18-minute victories.
Absolutely. Very, very quick set of games. Some of the fastest we've seen here at Reverie.
We're not quite on pace for that. 15, 16 minutes in, I don't think they're going to be winning in the next 2 minutes, but they may be winning in the next 10.
Absolutely.
That's true.
They still have a very significant... This lead isn't that significantly different from the last games we've seen. It's a 10k lead at 16 minutes.
But we'll see whether or not the sort of single target shutdown is going to be enough between a Malzahar and a Tahm Kench to come back into this game. They've also got the late game of the Kog'Maw, but honestly, I feel like they didn't really build their composition around it very well. They kind of just picked laners, it seems.
So we'd have to get the actual input from Mentally Unstable, but I think they were aiming to grab the shielding support and have the Tahm Kench go top. I'm still thinking that's probably what you're doing, but I gotta say the banning of both Shen and Orianna was a mistake.
It seemed out of place. Maybe they didn't want to pick Shen into... the J4 was picked later in the draft.
Yes.
Yeah, the J4 was picked in like the second round of the draft, so I'm not really sure exactly what the plan was back in the pick ban, but whatever it was, it doesn't seem to be working out too well, as Tavares finds himself in a 1v1 with a Vladimir that he has no hope of taking down. Kathian Surprise, unsurprisingly, not finishing the kill.
Absolutely. Bullman still had plenty of health after that little encounter. He even opted to take a QSS to help deal with Leonix's ultimate.
He's got the freedom to build into like a purely defensive item and still have more than enough damage to kill off anyone in the enemy team, because no one on the enemy team has rank 2 ult yet aside from the Ribbon. No one on the enemy team has an item completed yet, aside from the Malzahar. Like, there's such a ragtag bunch of half-baked champions and builds on the enemy team that it's really not much of a contest anymore.
Absolutely. Things are looking extremely grim for mentally unstable. And that it is all but one of all of the outer turrets down. There's only inhibitor turrets and, of course, the Nexus turrets left, plus that one atop. And they haven't taken a single turret, except they almost got that top one, but it looks like they're going to defend it.
Yeah. I imagine the next move here for Here We Win is to group 5 and shove in almost any lane that kind of have their pick. They also have the Rift Herald still to drop down wherever they want.
Looks like they want
Juicy
this.
looks potentially for the engage. There's the blast cone over the wall. Krov has to flash away, but the Jarvan follow him, trapping 3 inside that Cataclysm. Turn around from the Malzahar, but the damage just isn't there, and the Zac ulti catches onto 2. Pazu is dominating him. Miro falls, and this is just cleanup now. As Here We Win seem particularly adept at janitorial duties, cleaning up very well. Rift Herald is going to be summoned to help this shove, and they may very well get themselves an inhibitor on this push.
Absolutely, that was a clean 3 kills for nothing. There was that 4v5, unfortunately, that Tavares was not there, but I don't think him being there would have made a significant difference.
And likely not, as a hook landing onto the Kog'Maw sentences him to death. And now an inhibitor will be falling. Pazu is legendary at 19 minutes.
With Tavares still dead, it is 4v5. They still have Rift Herald. They might... No, they're going to back out safely. They are not going to play risky.
Yeah, pushing in for the win seems a little overconfident at this point, but basically just because death timers are so short, because this game is so short so far. But Baron and Dragon will be joining us on the Rift in about 15 seconds each, and those will likely be the next 2 goals for our winning team here.
Absolutely. They could easily and safely take those and then push any lane they want. Most likely bottom lane if I had to guess, but they might go mid too. That is a completely reasonable option.
Yeah, really anywhere that isn't top, since top will already be shoving in with supers. I don't really see any way back into this game if you're mentally unstable, or if you're on mentally unstable. There's the joke. I told you. I just needed a few minutes, 20 minutes, which it seems like that's all that Here We Win need.
Absolutely, they're on a nice firm track to take this game as an almost clean sweep. Only 2 deaths so far.
Mountain Drake going down as Pazu cleanses his way out of the Malzahar, having had time to build a Quicksilver of his own. Now with the double buff, he's going to be flashing away from the Gragas ulti, the top fight. Bullman taking the torch of damage as Hamiro gets chunked away. Brutal Logic tries to save him, but you can't stop a Hemo Plague, not even if it's in a belly. And Brutal Logic will likely go down as well. Just a few more moments as his gray health shreds away. Dragon falls, and this is a shove now on the middle.
Absolutely. Hamiro actually saves Krov there. Krov was probably going to die, but he body slammed into them to try and save him. But unfortunately, that meant he had to die for it.
Alright, inhibitor will go down, second of the game at 22 minutes. And we'll see whether or not they stick around to shove on the Nexus turrets this time.
Hamiro and Brutal Logic
still
are
got-
on the spawn.
They've still got some pretty powerful ultis as well as a double super move, though, so they can shove in.
So they're slowly going to whittle down this Nexus turret. There is the dive.
Let's bounce landing on 2, Cataclysm locking up the AD carry. Not be enough to bring down Fendi's as he manages to make it. Logic getting melted as Pazu gets yet another kill, his 12th of the game. It's a double for him as he goes potentially to 13 here. No, not diving onto the Nexus. And that's pretty much the only place where Here We Win aren't allowed. The enemy Nexus. It's the last refuge of a losing team. Krov gets melted, not before claiming at least 1 life. His first kill of the game.
First and last,
As his Nexus
unfortunately,
goes
it would
down.
seem.
Oh, good night, Pazu.
Well, a valiant effort. Why mentally unstable, but Here We Win with a firm sweep of the entire night. Every game we've seen them in. Just constant domination.
God, Riven's inventory is entirely filled with tears.
It's a metaphor.
Oh, boy. A very, very heavy-handed one. Anyways, yeah, that's going to be 4 qualification points for Here We Win, and they are. It looks like set up to do quite well if they want to join us in the tournament tomorrow night.
Absolutely, they do have enough points to make it in with that first place victory. And we'll be seeing, of course, looks like we'll be seeing Gotta Win Fast again, Combat Gaming Esports, Last Hope, Team 7, and I can't remember exactly how many teams are going to be able to play in the Cup, so I'll have to come back to that later.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for us tonight, though. If you are interested or entertained by us, then please do tap that follow button and tune in tomorrow night when we do our monthly Rift Cup, what all these Saturday night tournaments lead up to. We should have some real awesome competition for you tomorrow night. But from me in effect, that's all for tonight.
Absolutely. Just going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Those of you who are here the whole night, you may have seen some of our little commercials as we wait during the dull moments of the stream, which we're going to be talking about real quick. Of course, those of you who play here at Reverie, you do know Battlefy, which is the website we use to run our brackets. And then, of course, there is Deeko, which is they used to only sell t-shirts, but they have moved on to figures. So there are the figurines available. So if you'd like those kind of things, they do sell those. And there's also Haste, which is a VPN service that can basically help streamline your connection because of the way our internet works, which is sometimes our connection to any service, particularly gaming, doesn't always go from your house point A to their servers, which is point B. Sometimes it goes to C, D, E, F, G, Y, X, and then B. But Haste helps that along, makes it a little more easy to get from point A to point B. And then last but certainly not least is Vibi, which is the highlight service we use. It's not really a service, I say. It's free. You go to the website, you can basically plug in a video and make a highlight video without downloading any software. So it's very easy to use, so feel free to check them out. And with that, we'll be logging off for the night. Thanks for watching, guys.